At this time, I'll call to order City of Douglasville City Council regular meeting of Monday, December the 21st, 2015. And I'll ask Pastor Gene Fields of the Heritage Baptist Church to come forward and open us with the invocation, please, sir. And then after that, I'll ask Mayor Pro Tem Larry Yockey to lead us in the pledge to our flag. If we'll all stand at this time, please.
Let us pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, you gave us this word, literally in your word, Emmanuel. It means God with us. And Father, we thank you that we don't have to ask for that is a promise that you've given us, that you would be with us. We thank you that you are here with us tonight in this room. And Father, we just pray for your godly wisdom and discernment. Father, we thank you that you do love us, and you love us so much that you sent your only begotten Son, and we get to be very intentional at this time of year in celebrating our Savior Jesus. Father, our community needs your love. Father, we have experienced tragedy this week. Father, we've experienced great joy this week, but in every instance you were there. And Father, we thank you for being Emmanuel. Father, I ask blessings on these councilmen and women. Father, just protect them tonight, protect their decision-making, Father, because they are making decisions on behalf of people, and you love people, and we thank you for that. In your holy name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Be seated, please. At this time, I'm going to ask this chamber and this body to enter into a moment of silence in acknowledgement of the loss to this city of one of our employees last week. Miss Beverly Pounds passed away and was an employee with the city and worked with the police department, was a long-time employee, and did a great job with this city. She reported to her duty station day after day, even though she was experiencing, I believe, Chief, was stage 4 cancer, and did not complain. As a matter of fact, none of the employees knew that really the condition and how sick she was. And as a matter of fact, the chief made some comments at another event this morning and commented that I believe she was joking with employees, and employees were joking and cutting up with her as early as the week before. Is that right, Chief?
That's correct.
And exhibited an excellent work ethic right up until her passing. So this city has some great employees that are very dedicated to their work, the job that they perform. They're very dedicated to this city, and Ms. Pounds was one of them. So at this time, I'd like for us to enter into a moment of silence in recognition of her passing, and to certainly remember her family. Okay, thank you. This time I'd like to read and go over the protocol for tonight's meeting. Again, I'd like to welcome you to the City of Douglasville's December the 21st, 2015 regular City Council meeting. And tonight's meeting is much different than the Thursday night work session. Tonight the council will vote on the agenda items that were discussed at the last legislative work session, and this is a voting meeting. Items that will be voted on tonight have been discussed previously at the legislative work session, and we will only accept public comments tonight containing new information. If the business you are here to discuss is not listed as an agenda item, there will be ample time to discuss your business under the agenda item, comments from citizens and delegates. Before we start, I'd like to cover a few procedural items so there is no misunderstanding about the protocol for tonight's meeting. We will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be a personal attack on any individual or group of individuals. You will receive a warning from the chair if you deviate from this requirement. A second warning will result in a request for you to leave the chamber and the premises for the evening. Please do not applaud, cheer, make loud or disturbing comments, or otherwise distract from the meeting. Courts have actually overturned council decisions because of these situations. If you have a pager, cell phone, or other electronic device, please turn them off or put them in the silent mode at this time, please. Regular agenda items will be handled as follows. Committee chairperson read the agenda item, then make his or her motion. I'll ask for a second. Assuming the motion receives a second before the vote, the mayor and council may discuss the item between themselves. Then the applicant may submit new information. Then we will accept public comments containing new information only. As the chair, I request that you do not attempt to reintroduce the same information that has been previously presented. If this happens, I will request that you discontinue your comments. If you plan to present new information, please complete the form outside the double doors that you came through entering this chamber. Then provide the form to the Madam Deputy Clerk to my right when you come to the podium. Give us your name and address for the audio part of the record. And then please limit your comments to 5 minutes. Maximum time allocated for each agenda item is 1 hour. 30 minutes for those supporting and an equal amount for the opposition. Again, I will remind you that information submitted during public comments must be new information. Each person, including the applicant, gets only one opportunity to comment or make a statement on each agenda item. We ask that you address your comments and statements to the chair, not to the audience, not to the staff, and not to the applicant. Let me emphasize that the format for tonight's meeting is not a debate format and not a question and answer format. Our policy requires that printed information used for review be submitted in advance, be included in each council member's work packet. Therefore, I ask that you do not pass out or distribute additional information to the council, and this includes a citizen comment period. Are there any questions about the protocol, or is there anyone that does not understand the protocol for tonight's meeting? Next item on the agenda is the minutes approval and the minutes of the legislative work session and the executive session of December the 3rd, 2015, and the regular meeting of December the 7th, 2015. If there are no amendments, corrections, or adjustments to the minutes, they will stand approved as presented and read. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. And I'll entertain a motion on that agenda at this time.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any further discussion at this time? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Please let the record reflect unanimous approval. Next item on the agenda is the Public Safety Committee, and I'll ask the chair of that committee, Councilman Davis, if you bring your committee forward this time, please, sir.
Yes, sir. I have a couple of items, Mr. Mayor, and item A is item 20-15-42, request for the change in agent outlet manager for the alcoholic beverage license for sale and consumption of wine, malt beverages, and spirited liquor at the following establishment: Licensee O'Reilly's LLC, DBA O'Charlie's, number 291, location 9320, The Landing Drive. Current agent outlet manager Laura Glawacki. Proposed agent outlet manager Kevin Muzik. The required investigation has been conducted and the required fees have been paid into the city finance department. Will the applicant please come down? Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Name and address, please, for the record.
Kevin Musick, 4716 Fountainwood Drive, Powder Springs, Georgia, 30127.
I'm sure the council had already asked you questions about how do you go about
Yes,
training
sir.
your employees, and I appreciate that you coming back. And Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve 20-15-42.
There's a motion and a second to approve agenda item 20-15-42. Do I hear any further discussion? Hear none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Please let the record reflect unanimous approval.
Thank you, sir. Have a good holiday.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you, sir. Good luck to you.
Item B, 20-15-43, request for the change in agent outlet manager for the alcoholic beverage license for the sale and consumption of wine and malt beverages and spirit liquor at the following establishment: Licensee HOA Restaurant Holder LLC, DBA Hooters of Douglasville, located 6855 Douglas Boulevard. Current agent outlet manager Catherine Meredith. Proposed agent outlet manager Michelle Austin. The required investigation has been conducted and required fees has been paid into the city finance department. Manager, state your name and
Michelle Austin.
can you pull the mic down just a little bit and say it just a little louder? Speak a little louder.
Michelle Austin,
Address?
4722 Yeager Road, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135.
Dana Eisenstein, Sard & Luff Attorneys, 3789 Roswell Road, Atlanta, Georgia, 30342.
And I asked you the same question I asked the other gentleman. I'm sure the council had already questioned you about the process you have to go through training your employees. And good, then. And this is the first year or the second year? First year?
First year that we've been open?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we approve 20-15-43.
There's a motion and a second to approve agenda item 20-15-43. Do I hear any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Please let the record reflect unanimous approval.
Thank you and happy holidays.
Thank you and good luck to you.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you for that report, Councilman Davis. Next item on the agenda is Community and Economic Development Committee, and I'll ask Chair of that committee, Councilman Adams, if you bring your committee forward this time, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have no business tonight under that committee. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda is the Planning and Development Committee, and I'll ask Chair of that committee, Councilman Pope, if you'll bring your committee forward this time, please, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, we got seven items tonight. First, 22-15-53, request for a change in zoning from R4 single-family detached and attached townhouse and apartment residential district to R4 single-family detached and attached townhouse and apartment residential district with a special land use permit for a church or place of worship and accessory uses to a church or place of worship with a special stipulation to be used only as a church or place of worship and accessory uses to a church or place of worship on approximately 0.33 acres at southwest corner of Forest Avenue and Elm Street, located in Land Lot 17, District 1, Section 5A, Parcel 45. And I put 22-15-53 in the form motion for approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve agenda item 2-15-53. Do I hear any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Please let the record reflect unanimous approval.
Next item is 22-15-54, request for change in zoning from CBD Central Business District to CBD Central Business District with a special stipulation to be used only for parking on 0.06 acres at 6640 Church Street in Land Lot 17, District 1, Parcel 5A, and Section 5A, Parcel 40. And they put 22-15-54 in the form motion for approval.
Second.
There's a motion, excuse me, there's a motion and a second to approve agenda item 22-15-454. Do I hear any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Please let the record reflect unanimous approval.
Next item, 22-15-55, request for change in zoning from IL Light Industrial to IL Light Industrial with a special land use permit for a church or place of worship on 1.94 acres at 1445 Municipal Parkway in Land Lot 735, District 18, Section 2, Parcel 8. And I put 22-15-55 in form motion for approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve agenda item 22-15-55. Do I hear any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask a question concerning the item. This is a renewal, is that correct, Mr. Pope? As I understand it, the tenant had been in the building.
That's correct.
Okay, and are we renewing this for 2 years?
We didn't state, but we need to, can we change this stated for 2 years?
Motion can be made.
We make a motion and approve it with, approving it for a 2-year term.
I would second that motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve agenda item 22-15-55 for a 2-year special land use permit. I hear any further discussion? Hear none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Please let the record reflect unanimous approval.
Next item is 22-15-56, a request for change in zoning from R2 Single Family Residential District, lot with a special land use permit for a church or place of worship as a principal use or approval, additional special land use permit for use accessories to a church or place of worship on 29.04 acres at 6903 West Forest Avenue in land lots 224, District 2, Section 5, Parcel 14. And they put 22-15-56 in the form of motion for approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve agenda item 22-15-56. Do I hear any further discussion? The question I would ask is that also for a 2-year period?
Is this a renewal?
No, it's not for a renewal. It is for a permit. That's why I'm asking, do you want to make it for 2 years or do you want to make it 1 year? That's up to you as far as the motion and the second. You just asking the question for clarification.
This is construction, correct? This is construction of a,
Mr. Mayor, it would seem to me that if the party is going to be investing, purchasing property, and expanding and doing a construction development, that we should approve it for just as long a period as possible.
Right.
Because obviously they are making a major investment here, and I would not want us to do anything that would damage the possibility of that being successful. So I would,
Okay, well, I'll amend the motion to approve 22-15-56 for 2 years.
no.
No, this is,
I wasn't asking you to do it for 2 years. What I was asking for clarification so that it's clear and understood, so that when the motion's made and for future reference, it's clear and understood that it is just for a special land use permit and not necessarily for 2 years or 1 year. It is just a special land use permit. And then that clarifies it for the record.
with no limitation as to the time.
Correct.
I'd like to amend the motion.
That would need to be specified, though, in the motion.
Under the circumstance, I would like to amend the motion that it not have a limitation on it as to 1 year, 2 years, et cetera, because they're purchasing the property, I understand, or expanding on the property. and this would be used impermanently for that particular use. So I would see no reason why there would be a special land use permit.
Correct.
Correct.
I'd like to amend the motion as such.
In the motion,
What, if you want to amend it, what do you want to amend it to? And then we can get a second to amend it, and then see if, first of all, who made the second?
I second.
You seconded it.
Yes.
So do you want
Without
to?
stipulations.
Okay. Now, if you want to amend your motion,
I'm not sure, Mr. Mayor, that I would be even in a position to be able to amend it now that you've said that, because I don't know that a special land use permit can be done without a limit.
Yes, it can.
It can be.
And you all notice, this is not a request for a slot for a church. They already have that. What they want is an accessory.
Yes, and therefore, the church is already there and has been there many, many years in operation. And I would like to see that be, I would like to see it all under one permit then.
If the slump is without duration, I would think you would have this slump.
I would like to amend my motion that it be without duration,
okay.
limited amount of duration.
Right.
okay, let's start over. You want to amend 22-15-55.
56.
56.
56. For what? For
I would like to amend the item,
special land use permit for an undetermined length of time? Or just special land use permit, period?
to run in conjunction with that of the church and its use as it stands now.
The-
Is that without duration?
It would be without duration. This request is because we require anything over 1,000 square feet in terms of an accessory building to have a special land use permit. But since the church already has it, I agree that it would go together
Yes.
every time that special land use permit would come up for the church. This would just be part of that as well.
Yes.
I believe you could make the motion so that it's clear and understood that the special land use permit continues with that piece of property as long as it continues for the church to be used for worship. And then if you make the motion for that, it's clear and understood that you want the land use to run with the church and being used as a church and a place of worship.
Do I need to repeat that, Ms. Littlefield?
That is correct.
I would like to amend the motion so that this additional 29.04 acres, the use of this would be tied directly to the unlimited land use permit for the church, since this is an accessory building to be attached to and used for the same purpose as the church.
Get all that, Ms. Littlefield?
Yes, sir. My intention is to write none under special stipulations.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's your motion,
That
Mr.
is.
Pope?
Yes.
And I
Second.
second. I second.
Second. Okay, now it's clear and understood what it should be, then if for future reference, it's clear and understood. Okay. Motion and a second to approve agenda item 221556 as stated. Is there any further discussion? Hear none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Please let the record reflect unanimous approval. Thank
Okay. 22-15-57, a request to annex approximately 30.782 acres located off Preston Boulevard and Blaisbridge Road, being a lot 677, District 18, Section 2, parcels 1, 7, 8, and 9, and application by Landmark West LLC, and B, lots 616, District 18, Section 2, Parcel 5. And I put 22-15-57 in the form motion for approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve agenda item 22-15-1-57. Any further discussion?
Kevin McGuire, 3252 Bakewell Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135. I'm speaking out opposing the distribution center that you guys are talking about. While warehouse work is probably the fastest growing job segment in Georgia, from the years 2009 to 2014, the wage increase was only 0.9%, while manufacturing during that same time period was over 15%. Computer programming, 12%. During that same, the average yearly pay for a warehouse worker is about $40,000, where manufacturers over $54,000. Computer programming, we're talking over $90,000. It adds to congestion. Last Thursday, it was determined that there would be approximately anywhere from 100 to 200 trucks a day going in and out of there. Now, while that's fewer than the vehicles going in and out of there, trucks take up a lot more real estate, and they also weigh a lot more. I mean, if I get in a wreck, I'd rather get in a wreck with a sedan versus a 10-ton truck. We have a lot of distribution centers already. Instead of going for the low-hanging fruit of jobs, if we can just reach a little further up the tree and start getting some manufacturing in here, some higher-paying jobs. Also, that's a one-way entrance in and out of Preston Boulevard to Sweetwater subdivision, as well as the apartments back there. If they have to deal with extra truck traffic, people aren't going to be wanting to rent those apartments. You're going to have increased vacancy. The rent's going to go down because they're going to try to fill them. Who's going to go in there at lower rental rates? It's just, I don't know, we got enough distribution centers floating around in Ward 5 as it is. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Mike Shepard, 1668 Bradmere Lane, Lithia Springs, Georgia, 30122. I'm here representing the Sweetwater Homeowners Association. I don't know if you guys checked your email this morning, but I sent you about 20 pictures of along Preston Boulevard just to give you a better idea of how that 4-lane street, because I wouldn't consider it a road for truck traffic. It's not straight. It has a very limited sight distance as you leave coming from the apartments and from our subdivision. Just this afternoon, I saw 2 trucks trying to exit Bob Arnold onto Blair's Bridge, and with the way that road is set up at the present, the truck pretty much has to hug a car that's trying to turn left and go back west on Blair's Bridge. So for him to be able to make a turn to go back towards Thornton Road, he pretty much has to encroach on any vehicle that's sitting there at that uncontrolled intersection. So there's going to be a lot of dynamics into this if we bring a distribution center on those roads. The infrastructure there now is just not set up to be for trucks, especially 24 hours a day. I've seen countless head-on collisions at the intersection of Barb Arnold and Blair's Bridge. We've actually had one of the homeowner's daughters that suffered a very serious accident there at that intersection. So, you know, it's personal for me. It's personal for a lot of people that live over there who've invested a lot of their time. Our HOA dues are used every year to try to maintain our property and, you know, keep it, you know, with the curb appeal, you know, for a subdivision with 250 residents. So as a, just to close this out, I am a senior engineer with Georgia Power. So economic development is part of my job. But just like anything we do, we kind of look at it from the big picture and how will it affect not only the customers that we serve, but also what are the long-term effects of what we do. You know, that's one of our mottos at Georgia Power is a citizen where we serve. And that's why I'm up here tonight, because I serve in Douglas County, I live in Douglas County, and I want to stay in Douglas County. But just take this into consideration. I hope you thought hard about it. I prayed about it. I hope you guys did too. And hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Motion.
There are others? Chairman?
Yes.
I'm Jay Mitchell. I live at 420 Cameron Valley Court in Atlanta, and I work for IDI Gaisley. We're the applicant. Just to respond to the neighbors, and then part of what we want to do today is to make sure this is clear. You guys see this. So this is the area for the building. This is the entrance to the building off Preston. This is the entrance off Blair's Bridge. We're about 240 yards from Barb Army. And from our entrance to the homeowners is about 650 yards. And from the edge of the building to the closest apartment is about 50 yards. The reason I show you this is to sort of show you where we are. The intersection these guys sound like they're most concerned with is at Bob Arnold and Blair's Bridge. You know, we welcome the ability to have a stoplight there. If the community would like that, I mean, the last stoplight we put in was about $90,000. We'll contribute up to $90,000 to put a stoplight if the DOT will let us put one there. And if the DOT will not let us put one there now, we'll make a condition of this to put one when one is, or to spend up to $90,000 to put one in when one is warranted, even if that's 2 years from now or 3 years from now, whenever that might be. So hopefully that would help alleviate some of the concerns the folks have.
I have a question for you. Trying to clarify this, if you stayed on Blair's Bridge Road and not make the turn and use the rear entrance for trucks only, would that be I mean, could that possibly work for you?
No, I wish it would. We need both entrances, both the Blair's Bridge and the Preston Boulevard, for both autos and trucks, because there's a great possibility that the building could be split to two customers.
Oh, I see. That's right. You did say that the other night, that it could be two customers there. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. That was the question I was going to ask, if there could be a entrance where the trucks could not go on just one way in and one way out. And also, we discussed at the last council meeting, as well as in our committee meeting, is the approximate amount of trucks that would enter during that time or during the day.
Yes, again, the answer to having a dedicated, one of the entrances dedicated, just functionally won't work for us. And then as far as traffic goes, I did a little more digging, talked to Kimley Horn. Kimley Horn's an engineer that we use to, and I think maybe the city may use them too, but they do a lot of things. Engineers, they also do traffic work. They use something called the ITE manual, which is the Institute of Transportation Engineers manual. The DOT groups, the regional commission, all those rely on that as well. They use a code called 152. Code 152, when they enter in their information, stands for High Cube Warehouse Distribution Center. So on this size building, when they plug that information in, it spits out that approximately 400 vehicles will visit the site a day. Of those 400, 75% are autos, 25% are trucks, which is what we talked about the other day. Approximately 300 cars and approximately 100 trucks. So that's where that information comes from. Steve Weatherby. My address is 5583 West Phillips Mill Road, Douglasville, Georgia. Talking about Preston Boulevard, I think it's important to understand it's a 4-lane divided median road. There are 3 median cuts there. IDI is only using 1. Reviewing the file, the city's file on Ryland Homes approval, the staff recommended its approval on a 2-lane road, Douglas Hill Road, and Ryland came back to the landowner about routing a road through his property to Bob Arnold. That was negotiated, and a 4-lane divided median road was what was negotiated. A 4-lane road is built for high volume traffic, and it's built for the satisfaction of post-development of the undeveloped property out there. So that's what was negotiated, a road to supply service to both the residential area and the undeveloped property. So I just wanted to make that point.
My name is Luz Ortiz. I live at 1655 Broadmere Lane, Lithia Springs, Georgia, 30122. I'm also the secretary of the HOA for Sweetwater. I sent all of you emails last week and after the meeting on Thursday. And I think that they're misrepresenting how big that road is. If you put a tractor trailer on Preston Boulevard, it will barely fit into one of the lanes. There are 4 lanes, 2 going one direction, 2 going in the other direction, but they're specifically for residential traffic. If you put a tractor trailer, and they said 75% of 400, that's going to be a substantial amount of bottlenecks in the morning, in the evening, and that's the only road that we have to our subdivision. So I really want you to think about how you would feel if you're trying to get to work and you have a bunch of trucks backing up into your entranceway or trying to get out. The other thing is, I've been there for 7 or 8 years. I know there's people who have been there for more than 10 years, and we paid in excess of $5 million in taxes. And I really think that with the investment that we've made to the city of Douglasville, that you could at least, think about how it's going to negatively impact our neighborhood, and that these people just want to make a fast buck. This guy wants to get rid of his property, the other guy wants to develop, but they don't really care how it's going to impact our neighborhood. They just want to make some money. And as far as the jobs that it's going to bring into the neighborhood, we're a bunch of professionals. I'm a business analyst, engineer. I work for AT&T, and most of the people that work and live at Sweetwater are professionals as well. And so if you're going to bring development into our area, bring something in that is going to bring high quality jobs, white collar jobs, or bring in something that's going to benefit the residents that live there, but not another industrial development. There's a lot of industrial development going on Thornton Road and in that whole corridor, and I think that there are other areas that are better suited to a 470,000 square foot industrial warehouse. Thank you for your consideration.
May I speak again, please?
No, sir. You get one opportunity, as I said in the protocol, and then we'll address comments later.
Dawn Washington. My address is 7627 Forest Glen Way, Lithia Springs, Georgia, 30122. Just 3 points. One is I'd like to know from the developer roughly how many other warehouse developments they have done that are within this proximity or closer to a residential area. The turnaround opportunity for these trucks in that area is very limited. I don't see how that is doable, and I've seen trucks trying to manage turning around on Bob Arnold Boulevard. I was stopped by one on that particular road not too long ago, trying to turn on Bob Arnold Boulevard, and it got stuck and was unable to move. Another question of mine is how do we know the approximate number of trucks is what they say, because they keep saying they don't have a tenant. Well, if you don't have a tenant, I don't really know how you can very well estimate how many trucks there's going to be. I think there's an issue there because we really don't know what kind of tenant they're going to have and what that impact is going to be financially, ecologically. I think there's a big missing piece there. So, and to me, if you can build this warehouse at this location and you don't have a tenant, why can't you build something else at this location and not have a tenant, such as office buildings or something to that effect, and still have something there, but not this warehouse? Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Hold on. At this point, I believe all the comments that have been made were against, Chairman. And hold on, before we start for, let's make sure that we get the ones for or against, and then we'll move forward with that. Okay? Unless you want to come forward and make comments for it this time. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
I'm George Reed, 3515 Paces Ferry Circle, Smyrna, Georgia, and of course I represent the applicant. I did want to point out that there are two roads here, so all of this traffic does not go one road or the other, and that the truck traffic is not focused.
First of all, Mr. Wright, your comments for or against?
For the rezoning.
Okay, for the record. Okay.
And I wanted to comment that unlike office-type traffic, the truck traffic is not going to be there all at one time. The truckers don't want to be there at rush hour. Keep in mind that if this, under the current zoning for this property, built out as it currently can be built out, I thought we saw that there would be up to 1,200 parking spaces if it were developed in the office context. Those would be 1,200 cars that would come at the same time in the morning and 1,200 cars that would leave at the same time in the afternoon. That, we would suggest, is a much greater traffic impact than the trucks come at staggered times and oftentimes come at the off hours. Again, there are two roads here for them to use. The issue about taxation, I want to point out, this property was part of the Community Improvement District as well as the city's quality development plan, all intended for business development. All of this property was intended under those tax statutes for business development, and the landowners out there paid the taxes for the infrastructure. The residential subdivision that is there now was part of the county's Community Improvement District, and it was zoned residential even though it was set up to be development property. But the landowners who negotiated and put through and gave the property or negotiated the property for Preston Boulevard, they've been paying taxes out there for a long time to support the infrastructure for commercial development. And again, I just ask you to keep in mind the difference between 1,200 cars coming at rush hour and leaving at rush hour, as opposed to the 100 trucks in a staggered way, with the truckers not wanting to come in the middle of rush hour, quite frankly, most of the time. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anthony Robinson. I'm at 7631 Forest Glen Way, Lithia Springs, Georgia. I'm here to oppose this build. I'm going to speak to something that the gentleman just said, or these gentlemen they've been mentioning for some time, is about that 4-lane road. Like they indicated, it is a 4-lane road. There's 3 open, I believe, medians where you can cross from one side to the other. At the present time, that would be something pretty difficult for a tractor trailer to do, and I'm going to give you guys the reason why. I'm in corporate finance. I'm a professional. I mentioned that the other day. Some of my other neighbors, they mentioned that as well. But I come from a family of Teamsters Union truck drivers, and I'm sure you all may have heard of the Teamsters Union. Probably about 20 members of my family. My father was a Teamsters Union truck driver. So he and I had a conversation just about that 4-lane road, crossing over from where they plan to do this build, trying to get over in a tractor trailer from one side all the way to the other, blocking people coming around the corner, because there's a pretty sharp curve that you would come around, would be extremely difficult because you're kind of in a blind spot at that point. Then the tractor trailer would have to make a left or a right. Now, we all know that whatever a tractor trailer is usually hauling is not something that's fairly light. It's pretty heavy. So in the morning times and the afternoons, we get trucks all the time just from Werner down the road, and what they're carrying, one gear, you're off, the truck stalls. We have trucks at the light between Thornton Road and Blair's Bridge. Sometimes they're sitting there for about maybe 15, 20 minutes just because they're trying to shift and up gear just to get on to Thornton Road, whether it's making a left or a right. That's on a pretty level plane or road, but we're talking about crossing over from, they use the term a 4-lane road, right? It's a pretty short road. There's 2 lanes on each side of going, I guess it's east and west or whichever way you want to go. My point, though, is the difficulty of us, taxpayers, I've been there for 10 years, having to deal with that in my backyard. And I came to Douglasville because I think it was a great place to live. I mentioned before about the park. I would hate to have to pack my family up and leave from the home that I actually bought the land, built the home, because of what's right here surrounding me now. Thank you, and I hope you all take this into consideration.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I reside at 7612
Excuse-
Forest Glen Way.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Need your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Clifford Sanders. I reside at 7612 Forest Glen Way. I've been a quiet witness of this entire proceedings from the moment of time when they went before another body of lawmakers before they came before you. It seems to me that if the will of the people have spoken, and it said that we did not want this development in our neighborhoods because we have a concern with environmental issues, crime, and trying to raise our kids in a safe and secure environment, it seems to me that then the body would have capitulated. But what they did is they decided they would ignore the will of the people and come before you. This is their second body of lawmakers that they come before to try to get the decision that they wanted. And I think I'm a little insulted by that because what I'm looking at is an attempt to put profits over people. And that discourages me as a taxpayer, and it disappoints me, quite frankly. I think that there are so many other properties in the area, namely Fulton Industrial, where a lot of industrialized traffic is up there, and there's a lot of land up there that they can develop. But they chose to come into our neighborhood that we've been residing in for over 10 years. As a result of that, we have people who are threatening to move. We have people who are disappointed. We have people who don't know what's going to happen to them as a result of this establishment coming into our neighborhoods. Now, when they talk about the 2-lane highway on Thornton Road and on Blair's Bridge Road, that is true. But that would not be the effect of what we're discussing here. When you come in on Bob Arnold, that's a 1-lane highway. And the trucks, the size of the trucks will not be able to come in there safely and turn into that establishment and enter into that industrialized complex. Not safely. It will take a lot of work. It will take a lot of widening up the streets. And I don't think that they took that into consideration, or as a matter of fact, I don't think they really care. Because I think that their objective is to come in and to make a profit at the expense of people. Now, if each one of them can tell me if they have an industrialized park in their neighborhoods, then I would be okay with that decision. But I can almost assure you that they don't, because that is not something they would like to have in their neighborhoods, but it's okay for them to have it in our neighborhoods. And for that, I am very disappointed and disillusioned, because I believe that part of the American dream is that we can separate industrialized parks from subdivisions, because I think they have two different purposes. If we want to continue to develop that area and develop that land, we can extend it into apartment complexes. We can make parks there. We could have places like YMCAs that we can develop and put there in order to accommodate families and accommodate our children who don't have after-school programs. And I think if you would consider that, I think that it would be a better outcome for all that are involved. Thank you.
My name is Fielder Roberts. I live at 3134 Cunningham Lane, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135.
I'm sorry, did you say Bill Roberts?
Fielder, like in baseball.
Okay.
Fielder.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So I'm opposed to the development. I live over in the tributary subdivision, but I happen to have a little bit of insight with distribution centers. I work for a Fortune Top 50 company. I have a hand in managing 3 distribution centers that manage over $1.2 billion in returns that are processed on an annual basis. So out of all those, we've got a couple that are about 500,000 square feet. You get about 200 jobs. So let's say they bring in 300 cars plus 100 trucks. Each car is a job, it's 300 jobs. Any given distribution center only has about 10 high-paying jobs. Those are your shift managers, GMs, things of that nature. Everyone else, you're making about $15 an hour. You're unskilled labor. And where this distribution center is, it's right on the edge of Douglas, Fulton, right there in the corner. So if you're going to look at that area as the gateway, as someone mentioned in the previous meeting, to our area in our city, then you're going to have transient folks coming from other counties that are coming in. And yes, you have jobs in the county, but they're going to come in, they're going to work, they're not going to do anything here, and they're going to leave. And a number of our DCs, all the workers come in, they pack their lunch. They don't go out and eat because either they can't afford to, or they want to save money, like everybody else does. So if you want to have people come in, create the office space, create other facilities there that will bring people in that make money and will spend money here. Not bring in people that are going to drive in the morning, work there, eat in the building, do things in the building, and then leave and never come back, because then they're not vested. If you built an office park over there and had the 1,300 cars that they're saying could potentially be there, that is, in my mind, a better investment, because it's an office park. You're going to have people come over here. They're going to want to invest. They're going to want to give back. They're going to want to give to the schools, to the community. They're going to want to make a difference, and they're going to go spend money. They're going to be here for a long time. Whereas hourly employees, they're here, they're gone. Next company on the road, they pay $1 more, you're going to go down the road. So, again, I'm fully opposed to it. So just keep that in mind. It sounds good, you get a bunch of jobs, but they're not real jobs. You're going to make money, but they're not jobs that are going to stay in your community. So, hope you guys keep that in mind when you vote. Thank
you. Anyone else?
I have a question for the builders, or the developers. There was a comment made from one of the citizens that you had made this presentation in front of the county. Is that a correct statement? No. Thank you.
Okay, before we proceed any further, Chairman, does that close your period of public comments?
Yes, it does, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, do we have any comments or discussion that needs to be had with council? Council members, comments, questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Discussion. Councilman Davis.
Yes, I have a question for the builders. Did you all have a town hall meeting with the resident in the area?
Oh, hold on just a minute. If you want to, if you would, if you want to address one of the
Yes, can you come?
applicants, well, let's ask them to come forward, and then we'll now open the period for questions by council and mayor to the applicant. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Did you have any around the town hall meeting with the citizens in the area?
We met with the homeowner association representative, Mike, I can't remember his last name, and with Richard Siegel, but not any residents. Anybody could come that wanted to come, but it was late notice, and Mike and Richard Siegel came over and met with us.
Mike is the homeowners?
The representative of the homeowners, I just can't recall his last name. He was up here earlier.
Shepherd.
Okay. So and that was it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do we have questions, comments, any further discussion by council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a comment. Of course, I'm Councilwoman Danley, and I live on the north side. My ward is in Ward 3. I share with Councilman Davis. And I just want to say to the residents that I do understand your sensitivity as it relates to trucks coming through and projects going on. We have a project that's going on in our community, and Councilman Davis and I are very sensitive to the residents. Today I had a phone call that during this project that there were an apartment complex that didn't have water for a lot of hours. So I do understand your sensitivity. I want to say to the developers that I would like to have had you all meet with the residents instead of just the homeowner president and one other representative, because listening to the residents and hearing them speak out is very important. And also to the mayor and council is just, yes, I know this is an opportunity for the mayor and council to annex this development in. However, with the residents and being professionals, and you have sidewalks there where children, and we have stood on in the city of Douglasville that we want our residents to have a place to live, work, and play. I would like to see, and we had a good discussion in our committee meeting, is to maybe step back for a second just to see if we can come to a happy median. So I just want to say to the residents and to the developers, this is very, very sensitive, but I am a resident and I live here in Douglasville, so I'm very sensitive to what you're sensitive to. And thank you for all the emails and the phone calls and things that you have, and also to the developer, your comments in regards to this project moving forward.
Any other comments by council? Okay, I've got a couple of questions I would like to ask and comments, but first of all, I'd like to ask a couple of questions for the developer. Who would like to come forward and address those? Okay, sir. A couple of the comments that have been made, Mr. Mitchell, specifically speak to the traffic situation as to the number of vehicles, truck traffic. You mentioned signalization. Could you address a little bit more about that as far as the anticipated usage? There were some questions asked about the number of tenants, the type of tenants, what you're looking for, and how you would forecast that. So I'd like to see you, first of all, talk about the type tenants, who they may be, what you're looking at, and then address the issue of traffic, and then speak to the signalization again. If you could speak to those three items, please, sir.
Okay, thank you. You know, we've been out here for 25 years. We don't just build and run. We've spent all that time working very hard to build as nice a building as we can and to accommodate the community and the traffic the absolute best we can. You know, we mentioned at one of the other meetings the type of tenant that our building typically attracts, especially of this size. You end up with probably have two tenants here that would be, you know, 230,000 feet on average a piece. Those are typically been in business quite some time and are very stable tenants or corporations, and they look for this type of building because we build a very functional building. A lot of times our tenant or customer is a regional headquarters for a company because of the landscaping and just the presence of it in general. Out in this area, just to cite a couple of those examples, right down the street, we have a company called ResMed that's in almost exactly the same size, and it is their southeastern regional headquarters, and they happen to be control 40, or they have 40% of the world market on CPAP machines, the breathing machines. So they're very substantial. Across the road, we have another company that's in about half of this building size, a company called Coloplast. This is their U.S. headquarters. They're a medical products company out of Sweden, great company. We have Alston & Bird, a very large law firm, has space in one of our buildings right down the street. Tyco has space. Google, we sold one of our buildings to Google, and that is one example where there are very few employees there. That's unusual. Most of our customers have quite a number of employees. That's why we have all those parking spaces out there for them. So that's the type of tenant that we expect to attract. Our buildings are not the least expensive. Our buildings typically rent for more than our competitors, and because of that, we end up with customers that are looking for a higher end property and are willing to pay for that. As far as the traffic goes, what I mentioned, Mr. Mayor, a few minutes ago through Kimberly Horn and their analysis, I didn't come up with that. These engineers have their tables and manuals, and they work with the Department of Transportation for the community, and all those things sort of blend in, and that's how you end up with the type of parking ratios you might have, whether it be for warehouse buildings or office buildings and that sort of thing. So, like we mentioned at the last meeting with ResMed, 460,000 feet, I called them, how many trucks do you have? They have 10 a day. I don't want to misrepresent anything. I doubt that's unusual. That's a very low number of trucks. So I would go, best we can do is go with the average that the engineer said, and that's 100 a day. We have 2 entrances, so it's likely that you'd have 50 at each entrance. The cars, the other thing to think about is when these guys come to the building, for traffic flow, certainly for the automobiles, they're coming to the building from wherever they're coming from, whether they're in this community already or not. They're driving to the building in the morning to start work. The citizens that are in the neighborhood are leaving in the morning, so they'll pass, but they won't be going in the same direction. Typically, that would be the same for the trucks, even though the trucks do come sporadically during the day. Typically, the gentleman that spoke that had some Teamsters in his family, maybe he might be able to contradict me, but typically my understanding, and he would know, but my understanding is that truckers are paid by the mile and not by the hour, and that's why they will generally avoid the absolute rush hours, because it costs them money. And that's my understanding of it. Again, I could be wrong. As far as infrastructure, we didn't design the roads that are out there. We just want to make sure the roads do work for us. Since the community does have an issue with the intersection with Bob Arnold and Blair's Bridge, and it seems like, from what I've heard being here for a few nights, it sounds like a lot of that issue has to do with the auto company. I think it's Toyota that's down there, and this sort of the turn, and it's an issue apparently. Like I said, if a traffic light is warranted and the Douglas DOT believes it's warranted, we'll pay up to $90,000 to put it in there. And if it's not warranted today, but it's warranted at a future date, we'll contribute the same amount of money to have it put in at a future date if the DOT believes that will help the situation. Okay, another comment that was made
is in regard to I guess the lane's not large enough. That certainly was a comment that was made and some questions about it, but you didn't design or build the road, I understand that.
My understanding, and we have talked to, I wish I knew the name, we have a gentleman in our office that handles all our construction. He's not here tonight, but he spoke with someone at Douglasville who handles the permitting. And, that group within your organization has looked at all of our plans and the ingress and egress, and I'm told that everything works fine for that. And of course, we couldn't get a permit from the city if it did not work.
Okay, that'll take care of my questions. Any other questions from council? Okay, that's all. Thank you. The only other comment that I would like to make is that certainly this is a very sensitive issue. As you can see, we have a lot of residents in the chamber. It's very sensitive. We've listened and heard this for 2 nights, and we've heard concerns being expressed by the community, by the residents. We've certainly listened to the developer. We've listened to the landowner, and certainly we're very sensitive to it. I would hope that this body would certainly be very sensitive to the concerns that have been expressed by the residents. Some of them longtime residents, 8, 10 years in this area. But also the fact that this is an annexation, and it's something that this city needs to be very much aware of, whatever the impact would be of the annexation and the infrastructure and the needs that would be placed upon this city. There was recently a DRI, Development of Regional Impact, that was done, and the ARC looked at this, and the ARC had some comments that talked about the impact of developments and what they would do to communities and what they were looking at. ARC has a 2040 plan, which is a 25-year plan, and they are looking at areas that developments will have impact on. And this area, as has been mentioned, is certainly the entryway into the western part of this state. And this city has a huge responsibility as it relates to having a long-term vision on how they want this community to grow and develop over the next 25 years. So I would encourage this body to be very cognizant of the comments that have been made, be very cognizant of the impact that developments have on communities, and be very cognizant of the impact that annexation has on infrastructure and continued development within the city. Chairman, that's all I have at this time. Any other?
Just a real quick question. You mentioned a DIR or DRI. Is this project included in a DRI?
I'll answer the question. This project was not included in the DRI.
Okay.
The DRI was done for a project that was in this area.
So it wasn't done on this project?
No.
Okay.
Is there
a DRI or anything from the ARC directly related to this project?
No, there is not.
Okay.
And the DRIs have a maximum or a minimum of $500,000, and this fits under the minimum requirement for that.
Okay, so there's no DRI
That is correct.
No ARC opinion on this project?
That is correct. There hasn't been one. It has not been required because of the minimums that are required for that.
So the comments that you've stated from the DRI, from the ARC, have nothing to do with this project?
I answered your question, Councilman Miller.
You answered my question.
I'll finish, and then I'll certainly allow you to speak.
Please, that would be nice.
It does not relate to this project, but I, like any other member of this body have the opportunity and the ability to speak to the impact that this will have. And those were my comments. And I've been very clear on the fact that it does not impact this project.
Okay, I was not clear on that, and that's why I wanted to make sure that your statements from an ARC document did not relate to this particular project.
And I think I've answered that on 2 different occasions, but I'll be more than happy to answer it again if it did not clarify and it was not clearly understood.
So that's no.
So we're okay?
We're good.
Very good. Thank you. Any other comments to be made at this time? I believe there's a motion and a second on approving 22-15-57. No further discussion. All in favor of approving, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? I believe, let the record reflect that there were 2 opposed. That would be Councilperson Davis and Councilperson Danley. That is correct? Madam Clerk, you have the proper recording of the vote? Very good, thank you. Next item, Councilman Pope.
22-15-58, request for an amendment to the City of Douglasville for future land use plan for a workplace center, county, to a regional activity center, city, on approximately 30.782 acres located between Blairsbridge Road and Preston Boulevard, land lot 677, District 18, Parcel 2, Section 2, Parcels 1, 7, 8, and 9, and land lot 616, District 18, Section 2, Parcel 5. And I put 22-15-58 in form motion for approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve agenda item 22-15-58. Do I hear any further discussion? Hear none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, like sign? Please let the record reflect unanimous approval.
22-15-59, request a change in zoning from OIL, Low Density Office Institutional County, for approximately 30.782 acres, and CG General Commercial City for approximately 10.386 acres, and OI Office Institutional City for approximately 4.82 acres, to IL Light Industrial City on 45.98 acres between Blairsbridge Road and Preston Boulevard in land lot 616, District 18, Section 2, Parcels 3 and 5, and lot 677, District 18, Section 2, Parcels 1, 3, 7, 8, and 9. And they put form 22-15-59 form motion for approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve agenda item 22-15-59. Do I hear any further discussion? Hear none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, like sign? There are 2 opposed. I believe that to be Councilperson Davis and Councilperson Danley. Please let the record reflect the proper recording of the vote. You have that, Madam Clerk? Very good. Thank you. Anything else, Councilman Pope?
That's all we have, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Thank you for that, Councilman Pope, and we'll give just a minute for the chamber to clear before we proceed with item number 11 on the agenda. Okay, next item on the agenda is Parks and Recreation Committee. I ask Chair of that committee, Mayor Pro Tem Yaki, do you have any business to bring forward this time?
No items tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Very good, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Next item on the agenda is the Finance Committee. I ask The chair of that committee, Councilman Adams, if you bring your committee forward at this time, please, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have two items. The first item is 24-15-27. Authorize the mayor to sign a 3-year lease with Riley's Early Learning Academy Incorporated for city-owned property at 6625 Brown Street for a monthly rental amount of $1,000 with the tenant to pay utility costs and with the tenant to release any claims against previously paid utilities or rent for the property. I make a motion that we table item 24-15-27 for an additional 30 days until our next round of meetings.
There's a motion and a second to table item number 24-15-27. Do I hear any further discussion? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Councilman Adams, let's see, the next
meeting is January 5th.
But 30 days.
You wanted 30 days.
They wanted 30 days for it. If that would be the next applicable ones that would give proper time. So for meetings January 14th and 19th, 2016, please.
So would that be your motion?
That is my motion.
With I believe, Councilman Pope, did you second? Who second? Madam Clerk? Okay. You'll second that? Okay. The motion now is to table 24-15-27 to the next council, or 30 days for the council meeting, which will be held on January the 19th, 2016. Does that correctly state your motion, Councilman Adams?
I believe it was January 14th and 19th, that series of
14th and 19th. 14th and 19th,
Yes.
2016. Okay, motion, second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of tabling 24-15-27 till the 30 days to the scheduled council meetings of January the 14th and 19th, 2016, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Please let the record reflect unanimous approval.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next item, 24-15-28, adopt a resolution pertaining to the City of Douglasville's fund balance at the midpoint of fiscal year 2015-16 and near the end of calendar year 2015. I place item 24-15-28 in the form of a motion for approval.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve agenda item 24-15-28. Ms. Callen, can I get you to come up and go over that, please?
Yes, we have adopted a resolution each year for the past 4 years to record into the minutes the fund balance at the end of each calendar year. For the ending year of 2014, the fund balance was $5,562,675. Going into the new fiscal year, we did not appropriate fund balance for the first time in 4 years, and we are also projecting an increase in fund balance of $422,183 for a projected fund balance at December 31st, 2015 of $5,984,858. Any questions or comments?
Thank you, Ms. Callen.
Thank you for that, Ms. Callen. And comments are that this was something that I asked this body to do 4 years ago, and we do every year so that there's a transparency and a proper recording and reporting of the financial condition of the city from year to year. And this is just a continuation of that to record the status of the fund balance and any appropriations that need to be made from that fund balance so that it's clearly documented and reported, and certainly our residents and community know the financial status and standing of the city. Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving item number 24-15-28, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Please let the record reflect unanimous approval. That concludes your, very good. Thank you for that report, Councilman Adams. Next item on the agenda is Information Technology Committee. I'll ask the Chair of that committee, Mayor Pro Tem Bianchi. Do you have any business to bring forward at this time, sir?
No items tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Next item on the agenda, Maintenance and Sanitation Committee, and I'll ask the Chair of that committee, Councilman Miller, if you'll bring your committee forward at this time, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have one item tonight, item 26-15-14. This is to authorize the mayor to accept a proposal from Waste Quip for the purchase of a truckload quantity 864 64-gallon recycle bins for our residential customers in the total amount of $39,974.46. I place this in a form of a motion for approval.
Second. This motion is second to approve agenda item 26-15-14. Do I hear any further discussion? Hear none, all those in favor of approving, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Please let the record reflect unanimous approval. That all you have, Councilman Miller?
That's all we have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for that report. Next item on the agenda is Information Technology Committee. I'll ask Chair of that committee, Councilperson Danley. Do you have any business to bring forward at this time?
No business, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Say information and technology?
No, it's transportation.
Transportation.
No.
Sorry.
No business under transportation. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for that report. Next item on the agenda is Personnel and Organization Committee, and I'll ask the Chair of that committee, Councilperson LaGuardia, do you have any business to bring forward?
No business, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Thank you for that report, Councilman LaGuardia. Next item on the agenda is Ordinances and Intergovernmental Committee, and I'll ask the Chair of that committee, Councilman Davis, do you have any business to bring forward at this time, sir?
No business at this time, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for that report, Councilman Davis. Next item on the agenda, Education and Training Committee, and I'll ask the Chair of that committee, Councilperson Danley, do you have any business to bring forward at this time?
No business tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for that report. Next item on the agenda is presentations of certificate of recognition. Okay, presentations of certificate of recognition by Mayor to council members Doug LaGuardia, Carl Pope for their dedicated service as members of the City Council from January 2012 through 2015. And I believe you have those.
I have those plaques, Mayor, when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready. Public service is certainly a very noble endeavor, and public service is something that you choose to do. And for whatever reason, maybe a lot of people choose not to go into public service. Certainly we have a lot of people that are in public service in paid positions, certainly our staff. Some comments were made earlier today at another event, as I mentioned earlier, in that our staff chooses to go into positions of public service and serve communities and serve in a very noble way, but elected officials choose to go into public service in another manner, another endeavor. A lot of times they have to make decisions that are very tough. You saw some of that, witnessed some of that tonight. But that's what's so great about the democratic process. And you've heard me mention on an occasion or two before, it's kind of like making sausage. Sometimes it can be very messy. But the end product hopefully is something that you can appreciate and use. And that's what you see so many times when you see the legislative process at work and you see the individuals that have chosen to serve in an elected capacity. And the two individuals that we're going to recognize tonight, let me read the first one to you. It says, the City of Douglasville recognizes and honors Douglas LaGuire, Councilman, in grateful appreciation for your excellent and faithful service, and served on maintenance and sanitation, personnel and organization, education and training, public safety, finance, parks and recreation. And the plaque says 2012, January 2012 through December 2015, presented by Mayor Harvey Persons on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Douglasville, Georgia. But this plaque doesn't go on to say the many decisions that this individual, and I'm going to present them individually because I think it's much better to do it individually instead of collectively, because the individuals have served individually, but then also collectively on this body. And as you've seen tonight, a lot of times or sometimes in an elected position, you don't always agree. But you do agree to disagree and work through the process for the benefit of the community and the citizens as a whole. And like I said, it's a very noble endeavor. Sometimes you don't get platitudes or gratitudes, but I believe I know these individuals, know them pretty well, really very well. But they're not doing it for the platitudes and the gratitudes. They're doing it because in spite of, or sometimes when maybe we don't agree, we all have the same love for our communities. And I believe that's why these individuals have chosen to serve. They've chosen to serve because they want to see their communities be better, become better, and want to have a very active role in seeing that that happens. So the plaque that we're going to present tonight is the first one is Councilman Doug LaGuire, and it says January 2012 to December 2015. But there was another 4-year period, I believe, Councilman LaGuire, that you probably have another plaque.
I don't think they give me one for that.
Oh! Well, maybe we can, before you leave, maybe we can go back and rectify that and... Okay, all right. Well, if that wasn't done, we wanted to rectify that. But at this time, as mayor and on behalf of this city and on behalf of this council body, certainly want to come forward and present this plaque to you in grateful appreciation of you being willing to serve this city nobly and give of your time and your effort to certainly help make it a better community. So we'll come around, present it to you, and thank you, and we'll get some pictures. We get everyone to, I tell you what, let's get everybody to come on. We got
Got no choice.
You can do here, you go to the podium.
I stay with my buddy over here. It is, I can think of no greater honor to have your friends, neighbors, and others to send you off to represent them. And I could just add a little bit to what the mayor said. You know, Carl and I served on the council once before. And the quality of this council, in my view, is far superior. There's some good people on this council. The mayor and council have, as he said, we occasionally disagree, but we all had the same objective, and that was to do the very best we could for the citizens of this community as we saw it. And there was no agendas. There was all honest people on this thing, and it was a privilege to serve with all these people. And I thank those who sent me up here. I do think that if I were king for a day, I would make term limits everywhere, particularly on a national scale, because I think after a while you get complacent, and you need replacements to change that. I think if we stay in one job too long, we get to the point you can't tell us anything. Some of us get there a little earlier than others, but I appreciate it. I appreciate it. They are doing it in the council, and they really treated me well. We managed to do a few things. We did inherit a tremendous financial burden, and we handled it the very best we could. And I think all the neighboring councils that are doing work trying to that I'm happy to be part of. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Now, Councilman Pope, I could go through the same spiel about the noble service and all if you like. Now, it's certainly been a pleasure to serve with Councilman McGuire as well as Councilman Pope. As I said, the process, sometimes when you're viewing it from the outside, you may feel that it's not what you think it should be, but it's a very noble process and it's a good process. You'll see a change, you'll see a change in leadership, you'll see a change in individuals, but that's what is so great about America. You see the transition time after time after time again. You see individuals that agree, disagree, but agree to disagree. And it's certainly been a pleasure to serve with Councilman Pope and to also talk about Councilman Pope's service. It says the city of Douglasville recognizes and honors Carl Pope, Councilman, in grateful recognition for your excellent service, excellent and faithful service on Planning and Development Board, Board of Adjustment and Appeals, Transportation, Ordinances and Intergovernmental, Community and Economic Development, Information Technology, Education and Training, as well as serving as Mayor Pro Tem for a period. So this is for service that was committed or that was performed from January 2012 to December 2015, presented by Mayor Harvey Persons on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Douglasville, Georgia. Councilman Pope, thank you for your service to this city and look forward to seeing you many times in the future. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
We've worked with some of the greatest people in this province that
Take your time.
We'll have a good time. Have a Merry Christmas. And the force be with you.
Is there more on the agenda?
Certificate of recognition is hereby presented to Harvey K. Persons III. In January of 2012, Harvey K. Persons III was sworn into office as mayor of the city of Douglasville. Mayor Persons returned in elected services after 17 years had passed since serving as a city council member from September 1989 to December 1995. During his tenure as a council member, Mayor Persons served as mayor pro tem and chaired the public safety and finance committees. In December of 1995, he was recognized by the mayor and city council for his commitment to public service by servicing as a council member, and today we recognize him for his services as mayor. In the past 4 years, Mayor Persons has dedicated his time and efforts to the citizens of Douglasville with the mission to make the city of Douglasville the premier place to live, work, play, and raise a family. This has been his mission from the day he was sworn in as mayor and continues to be his mission as he leaves office. On behalf of the city council and the citizens of Douglasville, I, Larry Yockey, Mayor Pro Tem, present to you Mayor Harvey Persons, this plaque that's behind me. Not the big one, not the big one. This plaque to commemorate your service to the citizens of Douglasville as mayor of the city of Douglasville, December 21st, 2015. That's a little bit nicer than the other. The city of Douglasville recognizes and honors Mayor Harvey Persons for his dedicated services as the mayor of the city of Douglasville from January 2012 through December 2015. Congratulations, Mayor.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We worked hard together.
I wasn't going to make any comments, but I don't want to disappoint my colleague to my right, Councilman LaGuire. Like I said, I was going to not say anything, and he pleaded with me to make some additional comments, so as not to disappoint. But I will make it brief. December the 18th of 1995, I participated in a similar council meeting, which time I received a plaque. Didn't say anything about being mayor. But that was 16 and a half prior to being able to return as mayor of this great city. I served for over 6 years, not quite 7 years, as a council member, and felt very blessed and very fortunate to be able to do that. And then for 5 years after that, at a later date, had the opportunity to serve as the city's first planning and zoning chairman. And after that, did some other things, but 5 years ago, decided to run for mayor, and was fortunate enough to be elected as mayor, and went on to be mayor for the next 4 years. It's been certainly an honor. It's been a great privilege, and it's been very humbling to be able to serve this city. And as most of you know by now, I'm a little passionate about it and very committed to it. And as you've heard two council members say, we sometimes don't always agree, but we agree to disagree, because you see, the mission is much greater than the individual. And the mission is this community, our citizens, and to help make it be one of the premier places in America to live, work, play, and raise a family. I know you've heard me say that on many occasions, and I think we truly are one of the premier places in America to live, because you see, that's where we choose to live. That's where I've chosen to raise my family. That's where we continue to choose to serve. And we feel very fortunate and blessed to have been able to do that. It's been an honor. It's been a privilege to serve with this body. And as you may have heard me say back a few weeks ago, certainly I applaud the incoming council as well as the incoming mayor-elect, and wish them nothing but success and well, because you see, if they succeed and do well, this city will succeed and do well. We have one of the best staffs in the country, bar none. We have some new leadership that will be taking leadership roles. This year we saw I was going to say the passing, but we didn't see the passing of the former city manager. But we did see a transition with city manager and Ms. Hampton becoming the new city manager after 25 years of one city manager. We have a new police chief, and certainly under their leadership, as well as the leadership of other staff members, the mayor-elect and the council members-elect, and I see we have two of those with us tonight. We have council member-elect Mr. Richard Siegel. We have council member Mr. Chris Watts with us tonight. And one of the most dramatic things to me to watch is the presidential inauguration, when you see the transition of power of the most powerful nation on the face of this planet, without bloodshed, without a shot being fired. Certainly I don't equate what we're doing in the transition to certainly the presidential transition, but it is indicative of the governmental process that we have, that the citizens get to choose the people that will represent and lead them and make decisions that will affect their lives and their communities. Again, it's one of the greatest places on the face of this planet to live in our country. And then Douglasville, to me, is one of the greatest places in America to live because of the people, staff, and the people that lead it. So with that being said, it's been an honor, it's been a privilege, it's been very humbling. And thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. And Councilman LaGuardia, I hope I didn't disappoint. Well, I know you were afraid, and I didn't want to disappoint, so, but thank you. It's been a pleasure to serve with everyone. Okay, next item on the agenda, moving forward, is to re-enter the minutes and the result of the Tuesday, December the 1st, 2015, City of Douglasville runoff election for mayor. Ms. Hampton, will you or Ms. Tarver be handling that? Ms. Tarver, go ahead, please.
Results of the Tuesday, December the 1st, 2015 runoff election reads as follows. Incumbent Harvey Person, age 67, Rochelle Robinson, 1,394.
Okay. Results have been properly read and recorded and entered into the minutes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is City Attorney. Mr. Dodson, do you have any business to bring forward at this time?
No business.
Very good. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Chief Assistant City Attorney. Ms. Littlefield, do you have any business to bring forward at this time?
No business, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, City Manager, Ms. Hampton. Do you have business to bring forward at this time?
Yes, just to remind everyone that City Hall will be closed on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, this Thursday and Friday. And definitely for those who were not there today, to wish congratulations to those who were promoted today in our police department. I think it was a great ceremony that our police chief held today, and those folks are very happy, and to make certain you have congratulations to them. Also to Councilman LaGuardia and Councilman Pope. It's been a lot of fun. I'll miss you guys, and I tell you, Councilman LaGuardia, nobody will be able to tell the stories. I hope Councilman Miller was taking notes, so we may have done that with him. And Mayor, of course, you will be thoroughly missed.
Thank you.
And it's been a great pleasure, and I say I speak for myself as the rest of staff working with this region. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
And there is a small reception and each of your honor across the hall for you and your families that we can probably say.
Very good. You notice she said small reception. We're being very austere, and so you may end up having to eat dinner because it'll be very small and it's very limited. That is correct, Ms. Hampton? We're on a tight budget, and we want to make sure we stay that way. Don't want to have to appropriate any money out of fund balance. Okay. All right. That's all you have at this time? I would like to dovetail in on the comment that you made about the chief and the promotion ceremony that was held today. Chief had a promotion ceremony that was held over at the public safety facilities today, where we have 10 new positions of leadership that were filled. The chief kept that real close to the vest, and he said if he was the only one that knew, then it didn't get out. Certainly made council and mayor privy to that, but it was a good ceremony and a good choice. Certainly we have some great individuals that will be leading this city and continue to lead and protect. Very fortunate to have the community that we have. Okay, is that all you have, Ms. Hampton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next item is comments from citizens and delegates.
Mr. Mayor, I just had an inquiry I would like to ask staff to enlighten me on just a little bit. I've had some comment from some of the citizens within my ward concerning the political signs that we are all experiencing early on for the 2016 election cycle. Just curious if you could help us with what the requirements or what the allowances are for those, if there might be time to do that. And if not, if it's at another time, that's fine. I'd just like to address that issue at some point. Thought I'd ask that question.
I need to look back at the ordinance, Mr. Adams, but I know that there's a period of time, I believe it's about a week, to take out the extra signs after the election and the runoff is concluded. Now, they don't have to necessarily pull up political signs. What they have to do is comply with the number limit per lot. It's usually one small sign per lot.
I guess more in line with the question that I would have asked then would be, is there a time limit as to how far before the upcoming election cycle, county election coming up 2016, is there a date or is there a limit as to when those could be put out?
The number limit will be suspended once the qualification period begins.
Let me speak to that if I may, and certainly Ms. Littlefield or Mr. Lynn can correct me if I'm wrong or address the ordinance, but I believe what the ordinance says as it relates to the small yard signs, you can put 1 yard sign per lot and no 4x4 signs until qualifying. But after qualifying, you can put as many yard signs as you want, and then I believe that's what the ordinance says as it relates to the small yard signs. And then the larger 4x4s, it's my understanding they can't be placed until qualifying period.
Thank you, Mayor, for that clarification. I guess I need to be a little more pointed in my question. The question has been brought to my attention concerning not the number, but when. And I think possibly the mayor's just answered it would be not prior to qualifying as far as a 4x4 sign.
I can't confirm that without looking at
Would you please do that and just let us know? Thank you. Appreciate it.
I think I've had the same complaints on a premature sign. If there is if we could just see if there's an exception to that, if there's like a temporary sign permit that can be gained to allow that, if that's an exception that may be. All right, thanks.
Okay, any citizens? I'd be remiss if I didn't certainly afford the opportunity to, I know one of the 3 individuals is not going to want to. I don't know about the other 2, but certainly very pleased to have my bride as well as 2 of my granddaughters here in the council chamber for the first time, and certainly recognizing and acknowledging their presence, but they're probably not quite aware of the protocol, and this is the portion of the meeting where citizens or individuals that are present can have an opportunity, if they so desire, to come forward and speak. But if they don't, that's clearly understood too. But I wouldn't want to get home and them have that opportunity and they decided not to. So this is that time and period, but if they so decline, that's perfectly all right. And that'll be good, but didn't want them to misunderstand the agenda format for tonight. That being said, any other citizens? Anyone like to come forward with public comment? Hearing none, we'll enter into the staff report portion. And Ms. Hampton, I know you're not going to gloat, but well, I can certainly handle that because it's very possible. I don't know, but it's very possible. But the first item, which we will make the last item, but I don't know. But it is possible it might could take up a little more time. Well, okay. Well, your request is made, understood, and the chair will acknowledge and recognize that. So that being said, I believe there's another item, and that is you have something you want to report?
You had requested to provide a staff report from our legal counsel on the status of the old mill. So I think both Ms. Little and Mr. Johnson have an answer to that.
Okay.
I can handle that, Mr. Mayor. As the mayor and council will recall, some time ago, the city filed a quiet title concerning the old DeSoto Falls property. Hearing was held before the special master last Thursday. After hearing evidence and reviewing the documents in the file, the special master announced he would recommend the Superior Court the title be quieted in the city of Douglasville.
This is an item that has been I guess, a point that has been being discussed for quite some time, and certainly has been being discussed for 4 years, and certainly our residents, citizens have been unsure of why the city hasn't taken, as they thought, any action on the physical portion of the old mill. And correct me, Counselor, if I'm wrong, but if we, as the city, had taken action to clean up the site, put a lot of money in, whatever amount, $250,000, $500,000, million in the cleanup, and then the former owner or owner could have come forward, caught up the taxes, minimum amount of interest, and taken the property back. That would not have been a wise decision for this city to do, to invest a large sum of money in the cleanup, possible restoration of that site for future possible development, and then have to relinquish the property to a former owner for a minimum amount of the taxes that the city purchased it for, plus some interest. So this is something that's been on the forefront of this administration for the last 4 years. Councilor's been moving forward with the proper recording and pursuing of former owners so that we could get complete and clear title to this. As the Colonel just said, that took place the 17th, and I believe the property soon to be, once title's turned over, that will be the city's property to then take proper cleanup action.
Superior Court judge entered an order.
Very good, very good. So just wanted to clarify that and let the staff and the citizens know the progress that had been made and what the action was on December the 17th. Okay, next item is staff reports. Ms. Hampton, I'm not even going to read it. I'm just going to let you take 24A.
Well, I think it would be appropriate if the chief were to read it. Since he's making a presentation, come on up.
Chief, if you would, approach the podium, please.
Well, you know, last night Steve Harvey made a mistake. That's been a mistake, Mayor.
Are you saying that there's been a mistake made in...
Full responsibility for the mistake in counting the toys. You know, we started at the police department this year, a toy drive, and I went to the staff meeting and opened it up for the entire city. And I didn't know what I started. It got everybody involved, and you know what? I guess the old adage, you can't beat City Hall. I guess you just can't beat City Hall. Well, I went out because I was going to give a trophy to the department within the police department that will win.
There's a trophy?
Well, you know, Steve Harvey, you know, I forgot that, you know, I forgot the trophy, did some bad counting, but I gotta be truthful. I got a little something in front of here. So we lost, the police department lost, but the winner is the kids in the city of Douglasville. And the winner of this trophy this year, and we coming back to get this trophy, is City Hall.
Ms. Hampton, would you approach?
Because we were told we were going to lose. We were the underdogs, and he really did not want to give us the trophy.
Oh, Lord, here where the cameras come out. Okay, let me read it. The Community Christmas Giving Award, in appreciation for your hard work and dedication to our community and those in need. So this is the first annual, and we will come back to get it. But it was great. Good job.
It was good. It was good.
And if people go to our Facebook page, Police Department Facebook page, you can see all the toys and things that the different divisions within the city what they gave to the community. The toys was given to the share house, and we had the Vietnam Veterans Association here. They gave a lot of toys, and so this is an annual thing now. We coming back with a vengeance.
Well, I would just like to say to all of those employees in City Hall that we worked hard, we were the underdogs, we were talked about so badly because Joanne only had a small box in our office, and you know, the Welcome Center went out and they had a bike, they had all kinds of things. And I had a secret weapon, a trash can full of bats.
She did. She had a trash can full of bats. And,
but the deputy chief did say she subtracted out the bats just in case, and we still won.
They still won.
So,
all
we
right.
did. Thank you. And
They did
we
a great
look forward
job.
to the Biggest Loser in January, that City Hall will again be competing against the PD.
It's on again.
This is the kind of, and you saw that, but there's a lot of good-natured camaraderie that you see. You saw a little bit of that, but that's just indicative of some of the things that you don't see when you see the departments of this city pulling together, not only to help kids that are disadvantaged, but you see them on a cold winter night when the streets are frozen over, and you see the departments working together, putting their lives in jeopardy and leaving their families at home to come help this city. And that's the kind of camaraderie and working together that you see from this city and these employees. So good job. Councilman LaGuerre?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Pope? Were our plaques that big?
I knew you wasn't gonna say anything. Did I get that right, Sam? I think I got that backwards.
Mr. Mayor, I want to know, the police department has the most employees the city has. How come they didn't win? They got more people working over there than in any other part of the city. Surely more than working City Hall. The building is bigger, even though they only occupy half of it.
Well, we're coming back next year.
You better.
That's all I can say. You know, it's all good for the city and for the kids.
That's right. Good job. We appreciate it. Any other business to come before this body? As Ms. Hampton said, I believe there's going to be a small reception across the hall. We'd love to have you come and join us. And no other business to come before this body. Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Have a good evening. And have a very Merry Christmas.